"Who are you?" an angry voice bellowed from behind Bowen. Bowen turned to see two large castle guards. Both were holding long spears at the ready. Bowen tried to come up with a story, then decided that the truth was always best. So he said, "I've come to free the princess." The two guards began to laugh at Bowen, but this didn't bother him. He slowly pulled the bow from his back and drew out 2 arrows from his quiver. The guards noticed this and stopped laughing. They pointed their spears at Bowen, but too late. The arrows zipped through the air and hit one guard and then the other. The guards faded away into nothing, leaving the castle gate open and unguarded. Bowen quickly walked in. Inside the walls he could see many little buildings, and in the center of the courtyard was a tall tower. Out of the window he heard the princess call for help. Quickly he ran toward the door to the tower, but saw that there was too many guards in front of it. There were also some walking his way, so he slipped around a corner instead. As he stood there waiting for the guards to pass, he noticed that the tower wall was very rough with plenty of handholds. He looked up the tower and then began to climb, staying close to the wall while he scrambled up and until his hands caught the windowsill. Bowen carefully peeked into the room and saw the princess sitting on a small chair. Her hands were tied and her mouth was gagged. Bowen looked around the rest of the room and saw no one else inside, so he pulled himself into the room and headed for the princess, whose eyes went wide with surprise. Just then, Bowen noticed that she looked to the right of him, over his shoulder, and then he heard the clump of a heavy, clumsy footstep. It was the Black Knight. He was trying to sneak up on him. In one motion, Bowen ducked left and drew a sword, swinging it wide to the right. It grazed the Black Knight's arm and gave him a little cut, but it was enough. The Black Knight was poisoned, but the Black Knight was very strong, and it would be a long while before the poison did any real damage to him. The Black Knight swung his great battle axe at Bowen. Bowen raised his shield to block the hit. The shield stopped the battle axe from hitting him, but it sent him flying across the room and smashing against the wall. Luckily, it was a medic shield, so Bowen was healed instantly. The Black Knight was coming again, and so Bowen quickly got to his feet. Just as the Black Knight swung his battle axe again, Bowen jumped to the side, and as he did, he sliced at the Black Knight's arm, causing another cut. The Black Knight grabbed the wound and growled. Meanwhile, Bowen climbed up the wall and onto a ledge. He drew his bow and began firing arrows at the Black Knight. The Black Knight yelled as an arrow hit his leg, and he turned toward Bowen and threw his big battle axe. Bowen raised his shield, and crunch! The axe had broken his shield and knocked his sword from his hand. Bowen leapt down from the ledge, landing in front of the window that he had come through, and looked around for his sword. The Black Knight smiled, a grim smile, and ran at Bowen. His arms out in front of him, he planned on pushing Bowen out the tower window. Bowen looked frantically for his sword, but too late. The Black Knight was almost on top of him. Bowen did the only thing that he can think of. He ducked, and when he did, the knight tripped over him and fell out the open window. Ah! Thump! The Black Knight was no more. Bowen loosed the princess, and she kissed his cheek. "Oh, thank you, good Sir Knight," she said. Bowen's face turned red. Soon they were back in the princess's castle, and the king shook Bowen's hand. Poof! He was back in his house, looking at the television. On the screen, the princess and all the characters Bowen had encountered were waving at him. Bowen waved back, then switched off the game, and it was time for bed. The end.